Good, happy Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First step, speed limit reduced on highways due to slick conditions. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
Cars getting by easily on roads on 93 in Canterbury. A family driving up from Western Mass didn't encounter any crashes, but some slippery spots in their travels.
We came up Route 9, it was about 40 miles an hour, definitely from Henniker on. The traffic was so slow, definitely icy conditions.
It's been nasty, some of it. The roads are a little slick. It's coming down pretty good in some spots.
Point north of exit 20 saw a speed restriction down to 45 miles per hour on the highway. In Moultonborough, a dump truck took out a guardrail after it was involved in a crash on Moultonborough Neck Road. The driver was not injured. He didn't want to speak on camera, but tells News 9 another vehicle came into his lane sideways. The driver and passenger of that vehicle were both taken to the hospital. It took crews hours to pull the truck up and out of the ditch. On Route 107 in Belmont, a truck crashed into a tree. Police say both people in the vehicle were seriously injured. Police urging drivers to reduce speed and increase following distances during bad weather. The drivers we spoke to say they did notice people taking it slow.
Everyone's driving really cautious, so it's really nice to have everybody, being careful and taking it a little slower than normal.
As for the snow in November, some say fall didn't stick around long enough.
It's too quick. I'm thinking spring already.
Black ice is a concern overnight into the early morning hours. State police also urging drivers to slow down and move over for emergency vehicles. We're live in Sanborn tonight. Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Oh, and there you go on that video and that report from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez. Take it easy on the roadways, everyone. Even for this morning, roadways could be a little slick from last night's snowfall. Pitbull bites Massachusetts woman in JetBlue check line. Let's take a listen to the video from WCVB Boston.
So this is what it looks like as of now.
8 days later, the dog bite on Brittany Langlois' leg still badly bruised. Standing in the check-in line for JetBlue at the Orlando airport before her flight back home, a pit bull tore at her leg. Brittany assumed it belonged to another JetBlue passenger in the line.
Next thing I know, I'm bit, and I turn around and the owner's reeling the dog back in.
Returning from a vacation to Disney World with her girlfriend Heather Cox, the couple immediately tried to find out if the pit bull was up to date on its shot. The JetBlue rep told them the pit bull was an emotional support dog.
Pedro said, I have both reservations, yours and the other passengers, up, but I cannot legally give you that information.
Back in Southbridge, Brittany started with pain meds and antibiotics. She had a 10-day window to start a series of painful rabies shots. But just today, after News Center 5 inquired, JetBlue released a statement saying the pit bull's owner was not a JetBlue passenger, that the unknown individual refused to cooperate and immediately exited the terminal with the dog.
We called police, and we were told it was not a police matter, it was a JetBlue matter.
The last conversation I had with a JetBlue representative, she told me it was not JetBlue's dog that bit you, so it's not JetBlue's problem.
And the couple has learned another surprising traveling fact. Even though passengers with emotional support dogs have to check them in, at least for domestic flights, no proof of vaccination is needed. Brittany will start her rabies shots first thing in the morning. In Southbridge, Jorge Quiroga, WCVB News Center 5.
Okay, and there you go on that report and that video. More than 2,000 Mainers may be impacted by data breach. Maine officials say they're notifying some 2,100 people of an incident that might cause their personal information to be temporarily exposed. The Maine Office of Information Technology says a potential breach happened on September 21st as part of a system upgrade. The office says a contractor posted information from the Maine Department of Health and Human Services Child Welfare Database of a third-party website, not within the state system. The office says the file includes names, address, and social security numbers of people who receive foster care benefits. It also had names of children and legal guardians of people in the program. Chief Information Officer Jim Smith says the information was removed from the site. The office is offering a year of credit and identity monitoring of affected people. A skyrocketing tech firm set to change the world. Its failure has changed China. Ji Yating, the 44-year-old founder of China's tech company Li Echo, once envisaged building a China empire. That world reveal U.S. tech giant Netflix, Tesla, and Apple all together. Ray Moore faces new allegations of sexual assaults. Let's take a listen to the video from ABC News. Okay, looks like we're having a little technical difficulties with that. Here we go. Sorry about that. A little technical difficulties with that video. Here we go. Sorry.
Made from Mega Blocks. World of fun and adventure awaits. Because when your little one is building with their hands, they're also building with their minds. Expanding creativity as they play, while developing their confidence and curiosity, and exploring all of the endless possibilities. The Elephant Parade from Mega Blocks. Build them up.
The developing new headline involving Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore tonight. A fifth woman now stepping forward to accuse him of sexual assault when she was 16. Moore tonight vowing to stay in the race. And this evening, the message she says was written by Roy Moore in her high school yearbook. ABC's chief national correspondent Tom Yamas on Capitol Hill.
Tonight, Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore refusing to drop out, even as a new woman comes forward, accusing him of sexually assaulting her when she was just 16.
My name is Beverly Young Nelson.
Nelson says she met Moore when he was an assistant district attorney, and she was a high school student, working part-time as a waitress.
He sat at the counter in the same seat night after night.
She says Moore would flirt with her. One December, she brought her yearbook in, and he asked to sign it. The inscription, she says, right here: "To a sweeter, more beautiful girl, I could not say Merry Christmas." And signed, "Love, Roy Moore, DA." 2 weeks later, on a cold night, Nelson says Moore offered to give her a ride home after work.
I trusted Mr. Moore because he was the district attorney.
But instead, Nelson says Moore drove her around back.
The area was dark and it was deserted. I was alarmed and I immediately asked him what he was doing. Instead of answering my questions, Mr. Moore reached over and began groping me and putting his hands on my breast. I tried to open my car door to leave, but he reached over and he locked it so I could not get out. I tried fighting him off while yelling at him to stop. But instead of stopping, he began squeezing my neck, attempting to force my head onto his crotch.
She says he tried to pull her shirt off.
I thought that he was going to rape me. I was twisting, and I was struggling, and I was begging him to stop.
Finally, she says, Moore gave up.
And he then looked at me and he told me, he said, "You're just a child." And he said, "I am the district attorney of Etowah County. And if you tell anyone about this, no one will ever believe you."
Only then, she says, did he let her out of the car and raced away. Nelson's allegations come in the wake of a bombshell Washington Post report, which included an interview with a woman who says Moore molested her when she was only 14.
To think that grown women would wait 40 years to come right before an election, to bring charges is absolutely unbelievable.
But the Post also spoke to 3 other women who say Moore either dated or asked them out when they were teenagers, something Moore doesn't explicitly deny.
Do you remember dating girls that young at that time?
Not generally, no. If I did, I'm not going to dispute anything, but I don't remember anything like that.
The pressure on Senate Republicans overwhelming. Hours before Nelson told her story, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell calling on Moore to drop out.
I believe the women, yes. I think he should step aside.
Tonight, another senator echoing that call. Senator Graham, if Roy Moore's watching this tonight, what would you tell him?
For the good of yourself, your family, and your state, step aside.
David, Roy Moore just addressed those accusations. Here's what he said. He says, "I never did what she said I did. I don't even know the woman." He also says he has no idea where that restaurant is or was. As for all those Republican senators calling for him to step aside, Roy Moore took to Twitter, tweeting, "The person who should step aside is Senator Mitch McConnell. He has failed conservatives. Hashtag drain the swamp." David?
Tom Yamas on the Hill for us. Tom, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that is it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. Goodbye, everyone.